steak dinner. You get a steak, dinner roll, side salad, and drink, all for $9.99. And of course, bring the kids because they always eat free here at Frickers. It was an action-packed week one all across northwestern Ohio for sports and football especially. And finally, we get to talk some Fremont Ross Little Giant football with a member of the Fremont Ross Little Giant coaching staff. Joining us first, Coach Brent Sykes, the defensive coordinator for the Ross Little Giants. Coach Sykes, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. You guys started out your season with a hard-fought, gritty win against the Tiffin Columbian Tornadoes. Let's talk about that game a little bit. It obviously was a barn burner, two heavyweights going at it, and you guys were able to edge out on top. Tell us how you were able to do that.
First of all, it was special teams. Special teams really put us in a good position. I think obviously we had a turnover on kickoff return. We got it down there in the red zone, I believe. We were able to score off of that. We had a 42-yard field goal, and then we had a kickoff return. So special teams was a big part of our victory on Friday night.
It absolutely was. As we talk about that kickoff return for a touchdown, that was done late in the game. It was the go-ahead score to give your team the lead. Talk about Zacharias Burrow and what he means to the team and how he's able to get that kickoff return done.
Well, I don't necessarily get to work with him a lot because we're two platoon, like defense and offense. But anytime he has the ball in his hands, he's a pretty special player. And we knew when he broke through the first wave of people that he was going to take it to the house. So when he gets it going, he is fast. So
It's obviously a big play to get you guys, in front, and you guys were able to hold the lead. But it certainly doesn't define the entire game. And you, as the defensive coordinator, you got to be proud of your guys. You had a lot of guys step up. You had Moreland, England, and both with 6 tackles. You had Xavier Johnson, 5.5 tackles as well. You had a lot of guys, uh, pass breakups from a bunch of them. Talk about your defense and how you guys were able to execute on Friday night to get the job done.
so defensively, if you look at it through, we had 3 bad plays um, Friday night, and they all resulted in touchdowns. The first one was a blown coverage. They got us on a bubble and go. Um, and the second one, I personally got a little greedy and tried to send the house, and they got us. And then the other one was defensive end just didn't keep contained, and that Tiffin's quarterback was pretty good. He was able to move around more than I thought, and he just made a hell of a really good throw and catch on that first one. But KJ, our game plan going into it was we were going to put KJ on their best player, and he had a monster game. Believe he had a sack. Um, Obviously, the PBU at the end to win the game for us. I think that was 2 years in a row that happened. Um, and but he can cover, and we play a lot of man, so we put a lot of pressure on him in the secondary. So
We talked about last week. You guys weren't able to join us, but we were talking about your schedule and how Coach Winters and you guys. There's really no time for him to adjust. There's no cupcakes on your schedule at all. It's a tough schedule. So to come out and win against Tiffin Columbian, and it's a pretty good measuring stick, is it not?
it is. We obviously um, we watched a few scrimmages of them, and we thought they had some pretty good athletes. We thought we were going to be bigger than them up front, but they played extremely hard. And hats off to Coach Otney on that. Those guys really bought into what he's doing over there, and they played hard. And there was at points in the game. I mean, we just thought there was no chance we were going to win, but I guess been on the other side of that before. But we finally, a big play at the end, and good things happened for us that night.
Absolutely. And talking with Coach Brett Sykes, the defensive coordinator for Fremont Ross Little Giants. Coach, let's talk a little bit more about your defense. Of course, that's obviously your forte. Um, let's talk about your defensive line because they stepped up. They did a nice job on Friday night. You look at Tiffin Columbian's rushing stats. They tried to run the ball 30 times. They averaged 4.5 yards a carry, only 136 yards on the ground with 30 carries. That's a pretty good job by your defense of keeping them in check on the ground. What can you say about that front wall and how they did on Friday night?
Um, the second half, they were able to move the ball a little bit on us. Johnson is a sophomore. He plays his heart off, no matter if it's practice or in a game. Um, our inside guys, I mean, they're pretty big, stout kids, um, and obviously none of one of them is Teron, and I mean, they just played hard, and I preach whatever we do, it's 4 seconds of 100% effort, and they honestly, if you look at the game, they played their butts off, tails off, whatever you want to say. But we just played hard on Friday night, and we made a lot of mistakes. There's a lot to clean up, but defensive line, um, they just keep coming off the ball. And Fremont has always had a great defensive line. We're not as big as we were last year, but athletically we could roll with anybody. And we also have two really good linebackers with Moreland and Pickard. And obviously, if you get it to the second level with Mason and McDonald, like we got some pretty good athletes out there.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And they were on showcase on Friday night against Tiffin Columbian. Reminder: Fremont Ross 1-0 to start the season against Tiffin Columbian. They won 22-21. We carried that game on WTTF, our Tiffin station, and we simulcast that right here on Eagle 99. That's also available to watch back on WTTF's Facebook page as they live stream the game. Tom Nesbitt, my video engineer here tonight, did an awesome job on that live stream. So if you want to relive any of the highlights of those games, go to the WGTF Facebook page and check it out. Coach Brett Sykes from the Ross Little Giants, defensive coordinator, and I know we don't like to dwell on weeks past, but just have a couple more questions about Week 1. You guys, you shut down the running game pretty well. In the passing game, you gave up almost the same amount of yards as you did rushing. Not a bad night in the defensive backfield. But you did give up 3 touchdowns. What did you see on film this week that you think your guys can improve on going into next week?
We just needed to communicate more in the back end. Motions, adjusting the motions, and just knowing our leverage on a certain coverage that we have, and just taking advantage of your opportunities. We had 2 missed opportunities as well. It was both were on the first drive of the game. We should have had 2 interceptions. One probably should have went for a touchdown, but we just preach to those guys to communicate, know your leverage, know where you're supposed to be, and take advantage of your opportunities back there.
Now, as a coach, you tell your players all the time that don't ever give up a touchdown, play mistake-free football. But in your head, you obviously know that that's probably not possible at all. But do you think that these mistakes that you made on Friday night, do you think maybe it's just early season, you guys are getting their legs between them, and you'll get it cleaned up in the next few weeks here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the more reps, game reps we can get, the better. Obviously, Mason played a lot of football last year, so does KJ. But we have a couple younger guys out there um, that don't have much experience. But once they once they realize the true game speed of things, I think it's only gonna we're only gonna get better as we go through. So.
Well, everyone wants to build off of week 1, and building off of a win has got to certainly be a lot easier than building off of a loss week 1. How much of an advantage, and not only from a record standpoint, but just as a team confidence standpoint and an attitude standpoint, how much of an advantage do you guys have now starting the year off at 1-0?
Oh, obviously coming off a big win. Obviously we um, essentially won it with 42 seconds left. It just gives the guys, momentum going into the next week, and obviously that they know they can get it done. And that last drive, they were moving the ball, and our guys never gave up. We got the right guys out there, and they just kept playing hard, and they wanted it. They didn't want to lose that game, and so that obviously as we build through that with the momentum and everything, and trying to get better, obviously for Sandusky, I think we'll be pretty good.
So, when you're facing a talented offense like Tiffin Columbia, like you're going to face this upcoming week with Sandusky, how big is that bend but don't break mentality? Because you know that you're going to give up some plays here and there, but how much of it is you drilling into your guys? Hey, they can back us up to our goal line, but we're not going to let them in the end zone. How big is the bend but don't break mentality aspect of it here for you guys?
Well, I guess I'm more of a break guy because I sometimes I get a little excited and want to throw a zero blitz in there now and then. So I don't think on Thursday or Friday explosive plays, and they were all resulting in touchdowns. But at the end there, as they kept creeping down, I guess we did bend, but we didn't break. And there was a penalty that really went in our favor at the end of the game that pushed them back. Um, and then they were just trying to get us over the top. But our guys played hard.
Talking with defensive coordinator Brett Sykes of the Ross Little Giants. Coach, we talked about last week, and I'm going to get into the rivalry game versus Sandusky. But before I do that, I want to talk to you just a little bit more about the team and how we've gotten to where we are so far. You know, obviously, winter lifting starts in December if you're not playing a winter sport. You go into camps in the spring, and then it really turns into summer camp conditioning, 2-a-days, all that stuff. So from the beginning of your winter lifting or spring camps or wherever you want to start to this point in the season, how much maturity and growth have you seen from these guys?
Oh, there's been so much growth, and we got a late start because he got hired real late in the process.
Yeah,
So I think our winter lifting, obviously we lifted hard, but we started in April. As soon as he got hired, they started in April, so we missed 3 months.
yeah.
Um, but Coach Winters, he pushes those guys pretty hard, and they are from the time he started, and from the time like it's a total different team. Like we practice hard, we practice harder than they probably ever practiced before in their lives, and we get his bunch of reps in practice, and he just demands excellence. So, and the guys are starting to buy into the program. So,
It's an exciting time to be a Ross Little Giant fan. You know, when Coach Winters got hired, there was a lot of buzz around the area saying that he was going to bring a lot of life back to the Fremont Ross Little Giant football dynasty that once was. Have you seen that? You know, obviously, you talked about the kids' attitudes changing. You've seen the folks around here attitudes changing, and you had a statement win against Tiffin Columbian to go 1-0 to start the season. Um, I want you to talk about maybe your senior leaders and how they have changed over the past few months and how they've really stepped up and helped the younger guys.
yeah, the obviously you see it as you go, but guys like Jackson Mackey, obviously he's played a lot of football in his high school career, and Dylan McDonald, those guys are essentially extra coaches on the football field, and they're smart kids, and so all the younger guys are able to lean on them for direction, which the younger guys would probably know what they're doing, but those two and a couple other kids, um, they're just like an extension of the coaching staff when they're out on the field. So, and the guys are really starting to buy in. They're starting to uh, preach what Coach Winters is talking about, and um, it's only going to go up from here.
And it's fantastic to hear that it's going to go up from 1-0. Hopefully, this season we'll see a lot more Ross Little Giant wins. And coming up, the most important game on the schedule almost in the regular season. Of course, all of them are important, but this rivalry game against Sandusky. How big is it that your home opener this year is against rival Sandusky? And what are you expecting from those guys?
It's going to be huge. I think obviously everyone's excited about Fremont football this year. I keep hearing sellout crowd. Fans are going to be lining up around the fences to see what we're all about. Um, but they're a pretty good football team. They have a lot of special athletes. So if we don't corral them on defense, they're going to make us look silly at times. So if I always say, keep the cup. We have to build a build a cup around those ball carriers, and good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. Talking with head coach Brett Sykes, or excuse me, defensive coordinator Brett Sykes of the Ross Little Giants. Head coach Kenny Winters, he couldn't make it tonight. We appreciate Coach Sykes stepping in and filling in, doing a fantastic job. We're talking Ross versus Sandusky coming up on Friday. We'll have that game right here on Eagle 99 WFRO. Kyle Knight will have that call with you. Scott Logan as well will join him. We'll be live from Don Paul Stadium, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. And Coach Sykes, defensively, as a defensive coordinator, what do you think the biggest must-haves on Friday night are going to have to be for your defense to win?
Um, we're going to have to um, stop explosive plays, especially from the quarterback. He will scramble around, and it's going to be a very important night for the D line to keep their rush lanes, um, and then take advantage of our opportunities when we have them. We did not stubbed our toe too. This week we've just been preaching get off the field on third down, and then make the quarterback feel uncomfortable in the pocket, and then good things will happen in the secondary.
And offensively against Sandusky, their defense is always very tough, very good. This game every year seems to be one of the best games of the year. And can you tell me maybe something that you think you guys need to get done offensively to get off to a good start and maybe go 2-0 to start the season?
Just I get our playmakers the football. Let Mason and those guys do their thing. Obviously, Garza is a heck of a quarterback. Obviously, with the running back, just run the ball and take some shots down the field. I mean, a defense guy. I don't coach any of the
No, I
offense, so
understand.
but if we're able to run the ball, I think good things will always happen.
And one more question before I let you go here, Coach. Talking with Assistant Coach, Defensive Coordinator Brett Sykes of the Ross Little Giants. Coach, we talked about last week against Typical. I mean, how you guys were able to get the job done. Talked about what you might need to do against Sandusky this week to get the job done. Talk about Coach Winters just for a little bit and what he's brought to this team since joining in April.
He is he has brought a lot of energy and a lot of leadership and discipline to the team, I believe. And obviously, I was head coach last year at Danbury, and from what I've been here for 3 months, 4 months, and what I've learned from him, it's just outstanding. So, and he demands a lot out of the guys. We practice hard, and he lets you know it if you're not practicing hard, and then but he's a great guy though. But he'll sit down with the kids and he'll make sure that everyone's getting loved up and but he's very demanding.
Well, the best coaches always are. Uh, Thank you so much, defensive coordinator for the Ross Little Giants, Brett Sykes, joining me tonight talking Ross football. And we appreciate you joining us on Eagle 99.1 FM, WFROradio.com, and of course, YouTube Live. If you want to watch on YouTube or listen, you can go to Eagle 99's Facebook page, click on the link at the top of the first post that should be there, and it'll be directed right over here to our live. Coach, thank you so much
Thanks for
for
having me.
being with me here tonight. Before we head to break, I want to talk to you about a couple of things that are coming up on the BAS sports schedule. We're finally getting into actual sports here on the BAS schedule. Coming up next on Friday, or excuse me, tomorrow on Eagle 99, I'll be back at the Sandusky County Fair, noon to 2 p.m. And then on Saturday, I'll be at the Fremont West branch for Shred for Safety for Fremont Federal Credit Union, excuse me. And but Monday, finally, we've got college football back on the BAS Sports Network. It's the very first BGSU Falcons Nest Radio Coaches Show. Todd Walker will take you through that from 6 until 7 p.m., talking with Coach Eddie George about the Bowling Green State University Falcons and their football team this year. Next Wednesday, of course, we'll be right back here. And then next Thursday, of course, is the Ryan Day Show. Reminder, don't miss the Ryan Day Show tomorrow night from 7 to 8 p.m. on our sister station 92.1 The Wolf. We're going to take this time out. When we come back, we're going to talk Fremont St. Joe football with head coach Josh Waring. And we're going to talk the Streaks. They're also 1-0. So two Fremont teams, two perfect starts to the season. And we'll talk with Coach Waring coming up. Stick around and stay tuned here to Eagle 99 WFRO, WFROradio.com, and YouTube Live. We'll be right back. back. Yeah, again.
All
See ya.
right, that sounds good. That's all right.
Welcome back here to Frickers in Fremont. It's the Eagle 99 Wednesday night high school football coaches show. Of course, held here at the Fremont Frickers. Remember, it's $9.99 steak night tonight here at Frickers. Get yourself a steak, dinner roll, side salad, and drink all for $9.99, and bring the kids because they always eat free. Time to talk eight-man football now with head
Yeah.
coach Josh Waring of the Fremont St. Joe Central Catholic Crimson Streaks. Coach, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And you're the second Fremont team we've talked to tonight, and the
All
second
right.
Fremont team we can talk to about being 1-0
1 0.
to start the season. You guys beat Holgate 44-20 at Holgate this past Friday night. Talk to me about that win. What did you see out of your guys that you liked in week one?
Resilience. It was bad. We never trailed in the game, but it was a lot closer than what we think it should have been. Our players making plays. We got some veteran guys out there that did a really good job and took it on their shoulders and made it happen. Special teams. We had a punt return for a touchdown. That was a good thing. Um, there's a lot of things we need to work on. There's more things we got to work on, execution especially. But good things, yeah. I mean, our studs, I'll say, made the plays when they needed to.
So you talk about the things that you need to work on, and of course, there's always tweaks that need to be made
Sure.
after week one. The mistakes that you saw your
Hmm.
team make on Friday night, do you think those are just maybe early season jitter mistakes that'll get corrected, or is
Yeah,
there anything
they
more
are.
serious?
Yep. Execution offensively. That's you know typically your defense comes along better, faster than your offense. So yeah, execution and tackling on defense. It was a little, at times, we're much improved, than we were years ago. But that could cause us some problems in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to, nip those things in the bud right away to, to improve and give ourselves the best chances, for success.
Talking with head coach Josh Waring of the Fremont St. Joe Crimson Streaks. They start out 1-0. They beat Holgate 44-20 on the road, and their next game is going to be at home against the Tri-State
Yep.
Crusaders out of Indiana. Have you guys gotten to look at those guys a lot and see some film from them, or are they kind of hard to get some stuff on?
No, I mean, basically on Sundays everybody exchanges film, and there was no problems with that. There's a YouTube clip up of them playing last year, very similar to what they did last year. So having knowing what they're going to do is not a problem. Have we ever seen them live or played them before? No, but yeah, I would say we got plenty of film, and it should be a good matchup for us.
We'll get into more of that here in just a minute. I
Sure.
want to keep talking about the Holgate game.
Hmm.
Offensively, what did you see out of your guys that you really liked and you think can really help you going in to this season?
Finding ways to win. I mean, we're very balanced. I mean, in terms of yards, we were 160 in the air and 154 or so on the ground. So, I mean, we can do multiple things, which is nice to be able to do. We're not one dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, being able to do that, need to extend. We missed so many opportunities. We had guys that were, open, and we just, missed some throws, missed a couple catches. So, I mean, everything's there. We just need to execute.
And you scored 44 points in your season
Yeah.
opener. I mean, obviously that makes you smile, but is that a big confidence boost for the kids going into week two here that they know they can score and score in bunches?
They should. Yeah, there's got to be confidence there. They've done it for the last 2 years. I
Yeah.
mean, we can put some points on the board. So yeah, I mean, we did go for 2 extra points to kick them. Had them both blocked, or we didn't convert. So we went to a two tight end package, and we converted on all 4 of those conversions. So that's a really, really good thing. I'm very excited about that, and we're going to use more of that concept this week.
I'm a former lineman myself, and I like to talk about the big boys up
Yeah.
front because they don't get a lot of love. Can you
Correct.
talk about your offensive line and the job that they did this past Friday?
Good. I mean, are there things they need to improve on? Of course, but overall good. I give them a B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was grading, we're anchored by Griffin Vassar, his senior center, and we have a freshman starting at guard, Utimio Alcacer and Parker Demotica. He's also playing. We used a lot of a tight end set, so we have our linebacker and senior tight end Anderson Gill. And, they did a B kind of job. Like to see more physicality. That really was the focus this week. We're going to play with violence. I mean, that's what we
Mm-hmm.
need more of, more physicality up front. But and execution wise, there's some things, taking better angles to our blocks and staying on our blocks. But overall, they did a pretty good job.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, when you talk about taking better angles, all that technique for blocking,
Mm-hmm.
that can obviously be drilled in. But how do you practice for maybe teaching the kids to play a little bit more violent? And what are some of the things that you do to help them with that?
Well, one of the old uh, things that people used to use, the Oklahoma drill, where they
Yeah.
line up and do. We don't do that anymore, just for injury purposes. But we did. We had our starting off. Today was an offensive day. We had our starting offense, and we basically played a game against our scout team, and they did what Tri-State's going to do. But and it was favored for the defense. I mean, they started out with a 16-point lead, and if there was a turnover, it was another 10 points, and
Mm-hmm.
incompletions were 5 points for the defense. And so I think because you don't want to get stagnant in practices. We do a lot of the same things over and over because
Yeah.
repetition makes you better. But we try to mix it up today and run that kind of scrimmage. And I think the kids liked it, and it helps us kind of perfect what we're trying to do offensively. And we've got a really nice set. We got 28 kids on the roster,
Yeah.
and we've got some bodies we put out there that need physical reps.
Mm-hmm.
So just try to incentivize this whoever wins this game. I haven't told them what the what any prize is yet, but you got to make it fun for them, and and tactical as well.
So you're coming off a season where you made it to the state title game in 8-man football. Did you?
We made it to the We made it to the playoffs. We didn't make it.
Excuse me.
We lost to the eventual
My
state
fault on
champion.
that.
Yeah.
But you
No,
made
it's
it to
okay.
the state playoffs in
Yes.
8-man football,
Hmm.
and comparing this team to last year's team, and you don't like to do that, but
Sure.
comparing this team to last year's team, from this point on, do you guys feel like you're in the same spot you were last year? Maybe like the team morale and where you guys are physically is in an even better spot than you were last year.
Well, I think we're in a much better spot this year. I mean, we have quite a few returners. We lost some very talented players, but we've reloaded, and it gives these kids another year of experience, and that experience I think is going to pay off really well for us down the line. There's really nothing these guys haven't done. I mean, when I started, when they were freshmen, and we were 0-10,
Yeah.
and then 3-6, and then 8-3 last year. So, this group has really grown mentally, physically, and this is their year. They know it. We know it. You know, St. Mary's is a champ until they're beaten, and there's some very good teams. Even last week, Holgate, they're much improved from the
Yeah.
previous year. They've done a great job. The coaching staff deserves an applause because they did a great job. But we're looking forward to everyone in the league, and we know this is a very good season. You know, conceptually for us,
Yeah.
the potential is there to have a very good season.
So how do you tell your guys? Of course, we're talking with head coach Josh Waring of the St. Joe Crimson Streaks. How do you, have your guys not lose sight of that, saying, "Hey, we can do some good stuff this year. We have the team to do it,
Mhm.
but we got to take it 1 week at a time."
Well, I mean, last week was a case in point. I like to, one of my weaknesses is underestimating our opponent and overestimating, our play. And last week was kind of yeah, we won by 24, but to me it was a lot closer than that.
Mm-hmm.
It was maybe a wake up call for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, this is the way it's going to be this year, and you got to fight, every 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 down, every snap, every second in every game, to get where you want to be. It's not just going to be handed to you. So you got to make the plays when they're available, and you got to, just any, basic football. You got to hit, you got to block, you got to tackle.
And we're talking with head coach Josh Waring, the St. Joe Crimson Streaks coach. Obviously, as a head coach, you're a leader, and there's only so much you can do as their coach.
Right.
We're talking about from last year to this year.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your upperclassmen this year and how they've really helped lead on the field and helped you guys get your messages across.
They've taken it. We have, all of our seniors are captains this year. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really want to alienate any of them because they all deserve to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have. I mean, we have multiple future coaches if they want to be on the field. This class, this senior class, is not very verbal. They're
Yeah.
not verbal. They just do it by example, and they do a pretty good job of it. So you got Zach Ohms, our quarterback. He's taking the lead, and Griffin Vassar coming along, and Liam Thiessen and Owen Tooman. They're all doing a really good job for us, and they're setting us up for success.
And you talked earlier about your key guys, your home run hitters hitting in their spots that they needed to. Are all those guys that you mentioned, are those your home run hitters that stepped up on Friday night?
I missed Andrew Spieldenter in there too. Yeah, I mean,
of course,
those guys,
you can't forget him.
all those guys made plays. They all did. I mean, I could go through the whole list of all their stats. I've got them memorized already, but yeah, they all contributed.
Yeah.
To that win. Without one of them, we probably it'd have been closer than what it was.
Talking with head coach Josh Waring, the St. Joe Crimson Streaks. One more question before we start talking about your next game against Tri-State. Coach, I want to talk about this. Is kind of an odd deterrent from what we've been talking about, but the Northern 8 this year got a little bit bigger, and they added a school from around my area. I played them growing up in the Firelands Conference, the Plymouth Big Red. What have you guys done to maybe scout Plymouth, and does that add a lot more? Maybe, I don't know about stress, but mystery to your schedule because it's a team that no one's played in 8-man before?
No, I mean, I'm glad that we accepted him into the league, and I look forward to the opportunity to play, a new team and to get another team into the league. I only believe it's going to grow. It's done that every single year, and I don't see an end to it. To be honest with you, I take it 1 week at a time. I don't go ahead. I scout the next team. I mean, I could get really, I know what most of the teams are going to do.
Yeah.
With if they had the same coaches. And so I take film 1 week at a time, and really try to perfect that, and put our kids in the best situation.
Well, in the Northern 8 League, it's fantastic for high school football around the area. Teams join it, obviously, usually due to low numbers or low numbers and lack of success in 11-man football. But look at programs like you guys. Look at programs like St. Mary's and Danbury. They don't stay at those low numbers. They're getting more kids interested because it's more competitive and more fun. You think that really plays an aspect into the attitude around football at the school, and it gets people excited again, and gets the kids wanting to play a little more?
I think so. I mean, like I said, we have a large freshman class, and the numbers look good for the next couple of years. So I mean, we're going to lose a lot from this senior class, but I, I don't see any negativity around it at all. I think we're regular league champs last year. The school's buzzing. I mean, say what you want, but football's king.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And so,
and that's not knocking volleyball at all. But I mean, it's clear football is the ticket seller in the fall for sure.
So I mean, we had more fans at Holgate than they did.
Yeah.
I mean, and we travel well, and our parents are all locked in. The community itself is very supportive. So yeah, things are really good and exciting at SJCC right now.
Talking with head coach Josh Waring of the Fremont St. Joe Central Catholic Crimson Streaks. Coach, now let's talk about this week's opponent.
Right.
You guys are playing the Tri-State Crusaders out of Indiana. First of all, this isn't necessarily a pertinent question to game plan or anything, but how far do those guys have to drive to get here?
It's right outside of Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of across the border.
Yeah.
How many hours? I don't know, two maybe,
It's not
two and a
crazy for the
half. I mean,
Northern
it's
Eight. You
not.
guys travel a lot.
No, we go 2 hours away on a
So
regular basis. So
next question here for
sure.
you. Offensively, you
Hmm.
guys scored a ton of points this past Friday, but you said you had a lot of mistakes to clean up. What do you guys think you need to execute offensively to get the win on Friday night or Saturday night?
Right,
Correct.
right. Everything. I don't care what level. It starts up front. We have to block. We have to make holes for our guys. We have to be a dominant, physical football team. That's where it starts. It's not fair to just put it in our quarterback's hand. Yes, he's a great quarterback,
Yeah.
but that's not fair to him.
No, you can't
And,
expect
no,
one guy to
and
make every
and
play.
so we've got to come together and we got to build confidence in what we're doing up front, and everything else will ride off of that.
And what about the defensive side of the
Hmm.
ball? You said there was a lot of room for improvement there. What do
Sure.
you want to see out of your guys Saturday night to get the win?
Physicality. I want to see tackles for a loss. I want to see shoulder pads in the stomach area. I don't want high tackling really is a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Arm tackling. We've got to do the fundamental thing, and we go over the fundamentals incessantly.
Mm-hmm.
And we fundamental football. I
Yeah.
mean, taking the right angles to kit, to a tackle, backpedaling when you need to, attacking, certain gaps, just maintaining gap control. If we do that, we'll win.
How hard are you guys hitting on technique? Obviously, you talk about the fundamentals and you
Hmm.
talk about it every day, but technique for you guys has to be key,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to blocking,
Yep.
tackling, and things like that. Because even though it is eight-man football, you guys aren't always going to be the biggest guys out there, and
Correct.
when size and speed don't match up, technique can be the catalyst there. So
Yep.
how much do you preach to your guys to have flawless technique?
We have, every practice we have an individual period. We'll practice. We'll have an offensive defense practice, and each one of those practices has an individual period dedicated just for those items.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a different drill, every week, but it centers around the technique that's necessary. And taking that into the game. That's what I want to see more of, is taking what you learn and what we've been doing forever and taking it into the game. Now, is it getting better? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nice that we have some veteran guys that know what to do. And but yeah, I mean, we stress fundamentals all the time. I mean, they don't change. I mean, you
Yeah.
still got to block, you still got to tackle,
Yeah.
you still you have to do that no matter what level you are. And the sooner you get that figured out, you can add on to it. So
Head coach Josh Waring of the Fremont St. Joe Crimson Streaks. Final question before I
sure.
get you out of here. Besides a win, which is the obvious answer,
Hmm.
what's the thing you want to see out of your team on Saturday night?
Intensity. I want to see intensity. I hope they're listening.
Yeah.
I want to see, it's our home opener. I want to see, the stands fired up. I want to see us cranked up when we hit the field, with the band bringing us in, and I just want to see people flying around, high fiving each other, um, just having a great time and enjoying and getting the most out of the football experience, as a youngster, because you know y- your time is finite playing
Yeah.
football.
Absolutely.
99% of the people that play football, their senior year is it.
Hmm.
So just enjoy it, have fun, do it. We're going to do it the right way, but we're going to have fun doing it.
Well, the Fremont and St. Joe faithful are going to be fired up out there. Hope your boys
Hmm.
are too. We are looking forward to what you guys can do this season. Thank you for
Appreciate it,
being with
sir.
me
Thank
tonight,
you.
Coach.
Yep.
That's head coach Josh Waring of the Fremont St. Joe Central Catholic Crimson Streaks, and talking with us about some eight-man football. We're excited to see what they have going on. Of course, they have a game on Saturday night against the Tri-State Crusaders out of Harlan, Indiana. Coming up next, we are going to talk some Gibsonburg football with head coach Shane Dyer. And a reminder before we go to break, get on down to Frickers if you're not already down here. It's $9.99 steak night here on Wednesday nights. Get yourself a steak, dinner roll, side salad, and of course a drink, all for $9.99. Can't beat that deal anywhere. And here's another deal you can't beat. Bring the kids on down as well because they always eat free here at Frickers. We'll take this time out, and then we're going to talk Gibsonburg Golden Bear football. Keep it right here on Eagle 99.1 FM, WFROradio.com, and YouTube Live. We'll be right back. Go ahead and have a seat. I got a voucher for you. Anybody with you here tonight?
Yeah, we got one.
All right, coaches, we'll take you.
Awesome. Oh man, they had been moved.
Oh, these stools are terrible. Welcome back to the Frickers in Fremont. It's the Eagle 99 High School Football Coaches Show here on this Wednesday evening. Joining me now is Head Coach Shane Dyer of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears. Reminder that tonight's $9.99 steak night here at Frickers. Get yourself a steak dinner roll, side salad, and drink all for $9.99. And also bring the kids on down because they always eat free here at Frickers. Coach Dyer, appreciate you joining me here tonight. Appreciate you making it over here safely. There's a ton of craziness going on in Gibsonburg today, so glad everyone is okay from that, including the officer that was involved in the incident, and you're able to get over here safely and talk some Gibsonburg Golden Bear football. And Coach, you guys opened the season. You did lose to Seneca East, but you had some bright spots. Number one bright spot, obviously, was Reese Walby, over 250 rushing yards on the ground this past Friday. Talk about Reese and how proud of what he was able to accomplish on the ground on Friday night.
You know, Reese is a special kind of athlete. We celebrated the All-State right before the game.
Mm-hmm.
So not too many athletes we have are All-State in football, All-State in basketball, and All-State in baseball.
Yeah.
So he got his plaques for being All-State in all three sports. So it's pretty special having him out there on the field. He can do some things and with his athleticism that, you know, that helps us be better every day. So and then having Grant Smith as the other one, you kind of have the thunder and lightning type.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
You absolutely do. So Seneca East always a tough team. You know, they're usually very talented. What did you guys lack offensively? Do you think on Friday night that didn't help contribute to that winning effort?
Just you have 6 turnovers. It's kind of tough to win a game.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Second half, I believe we only ran 13 plays on offense.
Wow.
So they just
bled the clock.
They
down?
just moved the ball methodically down the field, nice and steadily, and just bled the clock. We made mistakes and they made us pay for it. So.
And defensively, those mistakes that you made on Friday night, getting those cleaned up in practice this week, do you think it's gone well so far, looking out to the game this week?
I think so. We've got some older guys who've been there for a while, but then yet we've got some young kids that are stepping in and they're starting to learn their roles a little better in their assignments. And this week we really focused on helping them read things better and make a better attack and read once they get going and react to the ball. So.
And obviously, there's always a bit of a learning curve when you have those young guys in on the field, and you got to give them some time and leeway to get their legs out from under them. But from what you've seen from them, from winter lifting camps to summer camps to 2-a-days to conditioning and all that, up until now, how have they really come into their own and stepped up this season?
We have 31 kids. 10 are seniors, 10 are freshmen. We probably average close to 20 kids in the weight room before school, so I thought that was pretty good with our, Coach Hunter Smith gets them in there in the weight room in the morning, and they get a good workout in, and most of them showed up to that almost all the time. Our attendance was great for that, so their buy-in to what's going on and getting faster and stronger will pay off. It's just a matter of how soon can we get that to happen.
Absolutely. We're talking with head coach Shane Dyer of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears. Your next game coming up is Toledo Rogers. That's going to be on Friday night. Before we get into the Toledo Rogers game, we'll talk about some maybe adjustments that you need to make. On Friday night, you did give up 126 yards to Seneca East Jackson Grayhart. He scored 3 times. What have you hammered into your defensive line this week and your linebackers to maybe shut down the run a little bit more this week?
We're just getting them to attack and not shoot the gaps. So they're starting to close the gaps a little better. So that's work on us trying to close those gaps so there's not a seam for that running back to get to. Then when they have to bounce it, we have to be able to get out there and make those plays on when that happens.
I know as a defensive lineman, it can be tempting to shoot those gaps. And was one of the problems were they getting too deep in the backfield and overrunning the play as much?
Not very often. It's just the kid had one rush, I think was 20 yards, and then he had 2 or 3 more in the teams. Other than that, it was 5-6 yard rushes.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. He'd get 5 or 6 yards. They get 5 or 6 yards, another first down. So that was the big thing is we just couldn't get a stop when we needed one.
So how do you practice for that this week of getting those big stops? Do you ramp up the intensity at practice this week? Do you maybe make them a little more tired and then, have them practice their team defense to because obviously when you're giving up 5-6 yard rushes and they have the ball for so long in the second half, your defense is probably just exhausted coming off the field. Have you been trying to maybe run them a little bit more and get them used to situations like that?
We've talked about that where we need to make sure we're conditioned and we need to be ready. I mean, if they're going to go both ways, they have to be conditioned well. If you can't, then you can't. Then we have to find somebody else to fill in that role.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that's where the struggle comes in is trying to find another person to fill in until they get their win back. And so it's a little bit of a balance, when you only have 30 kids and 10 are freshmen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a challenge sometimes. But.
Well, are you expecting? I shouldn't say expecting, but there's really no other word for it. By mid-season, these guys, will most likely be used to that. I know that from firsthand experience. My brother was the same way, where he played both ways all game when he was in high school as well. And the difference between his summer camps in week 1, week 2 to week 5, when you're used to playing full 4 full quarters of football, you're really in that shape and you're ready to go. Do you expect your team to kind of be that way to, in the next few weeks, they're going to get used to playing those 4 quarters of football and that should show up on the field?
I mean, their effort's always there. I mean, it's not that they're not trying. It's just that sometimes I think one person or one player might just say, oh, I need to take a play off.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens in football.
Yeah.
And sometimes it hurts you and sometimes you're okay with that. Because if they run the other way, then you got away with it. If
Yeah.
they run at you, then it might hurt you.
Yeah.
So we just got to get reinforced to them that they have to hustle and put forth effort all the time. And that's part of what this week was I'm usually not a yeller, but this week I've raised my voice a little more.
Sometimes you got to be that way. And,
yeah.
One of the biggest parts of football is it's more of a team sport than really most of any sport is. I mean, of course, volleyball and basketball, they're both team sports, but, football really is. And doing your 1/11th is really a big, big part of it. So what have you really been doing in practice, maybe besides yelling at them, to make sure that they understand that they need to do their 1/11th every single play?
We've been focused a lot more on the technique and the skills that they need to perform what they need to do on offense and defense. So we're working on them doing the drills and being able to play their position the way it's supposed to be played. And it's hard too because you don't want to do too much contact because with only 30 players, you're limited on what you can handle.
Yeah.
Physically. So we get at it a little bit, and these guys, I mean, our older guys get to work against each other, and we've got some big boys in there that are working each other.
Yeah.
There's a double team earlier in the practice a couple weeks ago where they drove one of our defensive linemen back 5 yards, and the defensive lineman wasn't 2 feet off the ball, and he was just skiing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was three guys
Oh, I've
going at
been
it
that
hard, working on
defensive
double,
lineman.
working on double teams
Yeah.
and splitting them and just fighting and trying to protect your gaps and getting in there and making a play. And it's just it's a challenge. It's just something we got to do. We got to put in a position where they can make a play, and then they got to make the play.
And we've talked a lot when we were talking about the improvements of that we need to see from last week to this week. We talk a lot about the guys in the trenches. How important are they for you, and how important is it to get their technique down for you guys to be successful on the field?
They are, and lucky for us, they're mainly our seniors. They're seniors who have some experience in there, and they do their job pretty well, and we just got to be able to fill over top of that too, and be able to fill in where if they fill their gap, we got to be able to make sure that we can fold over top of it or scrape underneath of it and make sure we get those plays.
We're talking to head coach Shane Dyer of the Gibsonburg Golden Bears, and I'm glad you brought up the seniors, coach, because that leads me into my next question. What have you seen out of them that you like as far as a leadership standpoint in the locker room? Obviously, you guys start out the season here not the way you want to with the loss. What have you seen from them this week, picking up the younger guys and showing them the ropes that you've liked?
They don't let the younger guys get away with just being average.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these kids are, like I said, I've always said they're special because what they do is when they see another kid doing a rep, sometimes we don't even have to say anything. Another one of the seniors have taken over and told them, hey, you need to make sure you step with this foot. You need to make sure you get in there and make sure you block and get contact with them. And you may make sure you can't stand up. You got to do this. So the seniors are in there, and they're almost like an assistant coach out there for us, which helps us out. So that part of their leadership has been really good, especially with the younger kids.
And that's got to be an invaluable part of your team is, you coaches can only do so much. But when those seniors, when those other kids, not necessarily get on them, I know I never responded to the teammate that would scream and yell at me. That was a coach's job. But when a teammate would come up to me, tell me to pick my head up and maybe show me where I could improve, that really motivated me. So that, to you, that's got to be a really, really invaluable key to helping this team grow moving forward.
It does. We talk about that a lot. I said, if you're going to criticize somebody, I said, don't question their effort. Don't question, how they're doing their technique. I said, if you want them to improve, you have to tell them what they need to do to get better. Mm-hmm. If you can't do that, then you don't need to talk to them and be a leader with that way.
Yeah.
Because they don't need that, like you said, because that's what puts them in their shell. It makes them want to quit, and that makes them, not want to play with you. But if you're trying to make and improve them, and they see that, they'll try harder for you as either a player or as a coach. So that we focus on that quite a bit.
Talking with head coach Shane Dyer, the Gibsonburg Golden Bears. Coach, got off on the wrong foot so far this season. Lost versus Seneca East at home, but now you're going to Toledo Rogers this Friday. And what do you guys got to do to get a win over there at Toledo Rogers?
I mean, we got to play assignment football. So we're going to make sure that they've got some good athletes, and we got to make sure we contain those athletes, not get them to make big plays. If they have to move the ball down the field and sustain a long drive, that helps us. So we're going to try to do that and make sure that happens. Offensively, we just got to keep moving the ball. I mean, at Seneca East, we move the ball well.
Yeah.
It's just we shot ourselves in the foot with a lot of those turnovers.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think the first half was touchdown, fumble, touchdown, and then a punt. And then there's another touchdown, I believe. So that was I mean, we did all right. But then the second half was turnover, and turnover. It was like 4 turnovers. So that killed us.
Not going to win many games doing that.
And it was still a game. It was I know the final score was I think 44-26.
Yeah.
Well, they scored in the last minute of the game.
Yeah. So it really
so it was a lot closer than that. It was really 37 to
26. Right.
And then we tried on our own end to get a first down on 4th down. We didn't get it. So then they went 20 or 30 yards and scored a touchdown to make it look worse than what it was. Yeah. But the kids fought hard most of the game, and even with those 6 turnovers, we had our chances. We just didn't make the play.
Talking with head coach Shane Dyer, the Gibsonburg Golden Bears. Coach, we talked a little bit about technique and how you guys need it. And against Toledo Rogers this week, you're definitely going to need technique. They're a Division II school, so they're obviously going to be bigger than you, probably stronger and faster as well. So how does technique really fit into what you guys want to do on Friday?
we just got to make sure that we get in our, even on our offense, make sure we get in the right blocking lanes and make sure we create some walls that running backs can run behind and it creates seams on the defense. So we're learning how to do that better, and then we got to mix in a few more passes so we can make sure that they don't put too many inside the box. And if they do, we got to make them pay if they do that to us.
And you talked a little bit about, Toledo Rogers, always a very talented team offensively, but is there anywhere that you guys think you have a leg up on them and maybe you can exploit a weakness that they have?
We have to be able to if we can run the ball, that'll help quite a bit. So, you know, just moving the ball down the field, getting first downs, running the clock, doing the things we do. I mean, that's just kind of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
I mean, that's Gibsonburg football right there, is ground and pound and run the ball.
yeah.
It's been that way for many, many years, and it never seems to fail. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And talking with head coach Shane Dyer, the Gibsonburg Golden Bears, one final question before I let you go, Coach. Well, number one, I guess it's a two-parter. Number one, you guys are playing at Toledo Rogers this week. Is that on Friday night of this week?
Yes.
Okay, well, good luck there. You're away at Toledo Rogers.
That's all right. I mean, we went there for a JV game last year, and it wasn't as bad as what people thought. I didn't think it was.
No.
I mean, I just told our kids, just make sure you don't say anything or do something silly. And keep your mouth shut.
Keep it civil. Keep it smart.
Yeah. Make sure you don't say the wrong things, and it's just that's just what you have to do. And I think you're fine.
Yeah. Second part to my question, more important part. Besides a win on Friday night, which is what every coach wants to see, what's the number one thing you want to see out of your team this Friday?
I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit. It's good to win, but then also we have to leave healthy too. So when you have a small team, staying healthy is pretty important.
Young as well.
And if you had 70 kids and you got some backups that twos and threes that can go in there and you don't lose a whole lot. You don't have to shuffle people around. That's being healthy. Yeah, it's okay if you lose a kid here or there for a week or two. But when you have a team of 30 or some of the leagues in our school, they all have small teams.
Yep.
I think the biggest one's 40 or 45. Margaretta's got a few more, but other than that, the other schools, Lakota and Woodmore, I mean, we're all high 30s or even we're 30.
Yeah.
So just staying healthy is the biggest thing for us.
Yeah.
Is trying to stay healthy.
Coach Shane Dyer, the Gibsonburg Golden Bears, talking about good effort, good health, and hopefully good results on Friday night. Coach,
appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Make sure you check out their game at Toledo Rogers on Friday night at 7 o'clock. Reminder that here on Eagle 99, our game this week will be the Fremont Rossville Giants, their home opener versus Sandusky. And coming up on our BAS Sports Network on Friday, of course, on 92.1 The Wolf, our sister station, Logan McCrory and myself, we will be at Clyde High School as Toledo Start takes on the Clyde Flyers. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff for that. Coach Dyer, thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate talking Golden Bear football with you. Good luck this season. Hopefully we'll have you a couple more times on the show this year.
Love to come back.
Thank you. Before we head to break, a reminder one final time, come on down to Frickers and get yourself a $9.99 steak dinner roll, side salad, and a drink, all for $9.99, and bring the kids on down because they always eat free here at Frickers. I talked with Coach Eric Luthold earlier in the week. He said he would be down here tonight. I tried to get a hold of him earlier in the day. He was not a man that I could reach throughout the day, so we may talk Clyde Flyer football coming up if he's here. If not, I've got a bunch of stuff to talk about here as well coming up on the BAS Sports Network. I've got some printouts of other area teams that we haven't talked to yet or we haven't seen, and a couple more of the coaches that we had last week, but we didn't get to have tonight. So stick around and stay tuned here to Eagle 99.1 FM, WFROradio.com, and YouTube Live. I got some more for you coming up. Here's a Fremont High School football coaches show here on Eagle 99. Head coach Eric Woodhold not able to join us here tonight, but that is perfectly fine. Of course, we'll talk Clyde football with him coming up throughout the season, I am sure. But not to worry. I've got a bunch of rundowns from week 1 of high school football in Ohio. So keep it right here on YouTube Live, of course, on Eagle 99.1 FM and on WFROradio.com. You can also listen live anywhere, anytime on the free Eagle 99 app. Download on the App Store or Google Play. So let's get into some around the area teams. Let's start with one of the area teams that we cover when the Fremont Ross Little Giants are either not in the playoffs anymore or we have a free week. The Woodmore Wildcats is a team we like to cover. We were supposed to talk with head coach Scott Staker last week. Unfortunately, we were not able to do that. And I really wish we were because they were looking really good to start the season. It was a battle of the Wildcats. They played the New London Wildcats, and in the opener they won 61-7 over New London. At halftime they led by 48, and they had 396 yards of offense, held New London to only 106 yards. And a guy you want to highlight in the ground game especially, Lucas Caldwell rushed for 102 yards. Ishnegi and Wesley Kaiser scored twice each. Wesley Kaiser, that's a name worth remembering. Senior is one of the area's returning first-team all-conference selections on both sides of the ball. And my goodness, did the Woodmore Wildcats really take it to the New London Wildcats. 61-7 was the final score. They have a pretty substantial roster for a Division VI program. They have 38 players listed. They have a bunch of returning seniors. Of course, Kaiser that we talked about. Trevor Runkle, Adley Anstead, Cole Portridge, Keegan Strong, Parker Angel, a few others. Those are just the ones to mention. But Woodmore looking tough to start the year. Good for them. Always great to get off with a win, but when you can dominate like that, it is great. Their next game is this Friday night. They're going to play at Toledo Christian. That's going to be a tough test. Toledo Christian is always a very tough team. We'll see if Woodmore can keep that offensive explosiveness against Toledo Christian. About as good as an opener can get there. Next team I'd like to talk about, the Mike May Oak Harbor Rockets. That was a game where everyone's eyes were on it. It's a game that happens almost every year at the beginning of the season. The Oak Harbor Rockets and the Huron Tigers. Oak Harbor and Huron, always usually a slugfest. Well, not this past week. The Oak Harbor Rockets dominated 42-7. They were, without a doubt, one of the biggest Week 1 winners in the area. Micah Miller, he exploded for 167 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he only carried the ball 7 times. 4 touchdowns on 7 carries. That is absolutely insane. His TD runs, one was a 94-yarder, one was a 46-yarder, and then there was an 8-yard and 2-yard touchdown carry, and that's 23.9 yards per carry for Micah Miller. 4 touchdowns. That's 28 of the team's 42 points. Braylon Johnson, he added 67 yards on the ground for 3 carries and 2 touchdowns as well for him. So all of the touchdowns were on the ground for Oak Harbor this past week. And for Coach Mike May, you know that is not a foreign concept, as they love to run the ball, and they always have an explosive offense. And they have an interesting schedule as they're, of course, in the Northern Buckeye Conference. They got Fostoria, Otsego, Genoa, Eastwood, Lake, Maumee, and Rossford coming on later this year. 42-7 and 167-yard 4 TD performance from Miller. I mean, you don't get a much better start than that to the season. So hopefully they're looking to take it into the next game against Toledo Woodward. A lot of Toledo teams being played by these area teams this next upcoming week. Of course, we have Gibsonburg playing Toledo Rogers. Clyde is playing Toledo Start. We just talked about Woodmore playing Toledo Christian, and now Oak Harbor is playing Toledo Woodward. But we'll see how that game turns out. But, you know, Coach Mike May and the Oak Harbor Rockets, they probably are elated to get off to a start that great. Talk now about the Clyde Flyers. Clyde Flyers, and Coach Eric Luthold, he started off his tenure as the head coach of the Flyers 0-1, couldn't get that win against the rival Bellevue Redmen. Um, they were shut out 42-0. Bellevue's defense was stingy. They were able to get 4 interceptions on the night. Connor Dowg, Justin Boucher. Boucher took one back to the house. Maddox Bailey and Ike Brown, they all came up with a pick. Clyde did manage 2 interceptions of their own, Cooper Garner and Hunter Thomas, but they couldn't turn those opportunities into points. It is one game. And now, Clyde has an opportunity to erase that off the board, get it out of their minds, and move on. Of course, we'll be at that game. Logan McCrory and myself will be in that game on Friday night, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff, when the Flyers take on the Toledo Spartans. And with Coach Eric Luthold and these Clyde Flyers, it was a rough showing on Friday night, but you got to give credit to those kids. They never gave up. They never looked like they were hanging their heads at all. It was a tough start, and when you're bringing in a new coach and he's got a new playbook, as they all do, it's tough to get those kids, to fully grasp and understand the concept by week 1. But these kids got to grow into it. I have no doubt that they are going to grow into it. And the playmakers are going to start getting the ball. Grady Bender, he's going to start looking sharper from the shotgun and under center. And maybe Coach Luthold changes things up a bit, runs the ball a little bit more. They did have a little bit of success when they did run the ball. So you never know. Maybe Coach Luthold will shake things up this week against Toledo Start. Start is always a talented team. They've always got a tremendous amount of talent. The Clyde Flyers have always outshined them on the discipline aspect of things, but sometimes with as much discipline and technique as you have, if you have that talent, it can outshine you. We saw it last season with the Flyers against Toledo Start, but who Toledo Start also is coming in off of a win. They're 1-0 on the season. They beat Norwalk 34-17. But it'd be a big confidence boost for the Clyde Flyers to win this week. But it could be another slow start for them this season. It was last year. They went 0-4, and until they made it to the midseason against Coach Luthold's Port Clinton Redskins, they weren't able to get a win, and then that really flipped their season around. So we'll see what Coach Luthold and the Flyers have for this week. On the flip side of that game, the Bellevue Redmen couldn't have gotten their season off to a better start, 1-0. Dominated defensively, as I said, 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery. If you count the first quarter muff punt recovery, which of course you should. And then it was kind of a slow starting first half. It was a 2-0 first quarter. Both coaches didn't seem to know where they fit in offensively. There's a lot of mistakes being made on both sides of the ball. And then Coach Alex Shepard decided to start running it with both his running back, Evan Beauvais, and his quarterback, Ike Brown. And that's where the Bellevue Redmen got their start and never looked back. Both of those guys had huge nights with their legs, and they went ahead, and they, again, like I said, never looked back. They started with the Connor Dowd, a comeback route, which he caught at the 8-yard line, made a man miss, and ran into the end zone for his first touchdown. And then it was Ike Brown with his legs a couple times, Evan Beauvais with his legs a couple of times. Caden Kramer had a huge catch and run. It was more of a run than a catch. It was more like a 5-yard curl, and then he ran for 45 more yards. So this offense, even though it looked kind of shaky in the first half, it really picked up in the second half. The defense, the entire game, obviously was fantastic as they pitched the shutout. And the Bellevue Redmen are going to Wauseon this week to take on the Indians. It's the tribal battle, as I like to call it, Wauseon and Bellevue, and we'll see if Bellevue can get the job done and go 2-0. Another team that we look at here on the BAS network, Lakota. Lakota was not able to get the win this past Friday. They lost to Elmwood 41-30, but it was a much more competitive game than the final record suggested. It was back and forth, and Elmwood was able to pull away at the end. But there's some intriguing pieces on the roster here for Lakota this year. Graham Harmon, Carter Brightigam, Gabe Moore, they're all back. Some serious size up front with 6'5", 280-pound senior Max Nordhaus, along with several of their big guys up front weighing 220-plus pounds. So those linemen up front, they are big and tough, and they like to move the ball. And so even though Lakota wasn't able to get that win in week 1, they're looking to get a win at Hicksville week 2, but a 30-point offensive effort is definitely a good building block for the Lakota Raiders. So that is your week 1 results at a glance of all of our area teams. Your big takeaways for all teams, of course, for Gibsonburg, Reese Walby, you can't overlook that 253 rushing yards. Fremont St. Joe, great debut, strong debut in 8-man. Again, Coach Waring talked about those things that they need to work on, but they're really, really looking forward to this season. 8-3 last year, looking to improve on that this year. Fremont Ross, what can you say about the Little Giants except, man, isn't it an exciting time to be a Ross Little Giant, folks? You start off 1-0, and that's exciting enough, but you beat Tiffin Columbian, that's great. And you go into your home opener, people are talking about selling out the stadium, T-shirts, everything along that nature. And it's against your rival Sandusky as your home opener, and that is going to be a fantastic game. Kyle Knight and Scott Logan will be on the call for that one. That's exciting. If you can't make it to the game, listen to it on Eagle 99.1 FM. I guarantee you, folks, there will not be a better broadcast team around than Kyle Knight and Scott Logan to do that game for you. I promise you that. And then on your biggest takeaway from Woodmore, 396 yards offensively, 48 first half points. Oak Harbor, you got to talk about Micah Miller, 167 yards, 4 TDs on 7 carries. There's so many great things for all these teams to build off of. For Clyde, the biggest takeaway for them is, they struggled a lot offensively, but their defense actually did a very nice job of bending and not breaking until it was almost impossible for them not to break. So their defense looked good. They just got to figure it out on offense. The Bellevue Redmond, 4 interceptions, dominant defense. The offense struggled in the first half, but they picked it up in the second. Were able to pull away. So Bellevue's looking good going in against Wauseon. And then Lakota, the offense showed a lot of life despite the loss. So Lakota is looking to get back on the horse, off the schneid here for week number 2. And that is your outlook for week 1 and heading into week 2 here on the BAS Sports Network. That'll do it for me here from Frickers in Fremont tonight. I want to thank my video engineer, Tom Nesbitt, of course, for always being here and being Mr. Reliable for BAS. Did another great job here on our YouTube live stream. I want to thank our audio engineer, Aiden Klein, back at the booth in the Fremont studios for getting us on and off the air. Couldn't do it without you, Aiden. Thank you so much. I want to remind you, coming up tomorrow on our sister station, 92 on the Wolf, the Ryan Day Show, 6 to 8 p.m. Make sure you tune in for that. On Eagle 99 tomorrow, I'll be broadcasting live from the Sandusky County Fair for the final day, noon to 2 p.m. And then our 2 games on our Fremont Sports Network on Friday night. Right here on Eagle 99, we'll have that big rivalry game I was talking about, the Ross Little Giants and the Sandusky Blue Streaks, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. Kyle Knight and Scott Logan will be on that call. And then for your Clyde Flyer fix, there's another broadcast team I guarantee you won't find anybody better for. Myself and Logan McCrory. Hate to toot my own horn, but we do a very nice job, I believe. Logan and myself, after our debut broadcast together on Friday, went fantastic. We'll be live from Clyde again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff for that as the Flyers take on the Toledo Start Spartans. For Tom Nesbitt, for Aiden Klein back at the Fremont studios, this is Nick Roth saying thank you for tuning in to the Eagle 99 High School Football Coaches Show live from the Fremont Frickers. Remember, kids always eat free at Frickers. And until next time, stick around and stay tuned to all the hits all the time. Eagle